Cook. My name is Zaid Tabani.
I'm saying Cola.
Man, it has been eons. It has been time unforeseen. For years, we have not spoken. Cola, how are you? I hear that you've started a family. You've moved into the woods. Your life is fundamentally different.
No, that is not true. It's fundamentally different in other areas and aspects, but definitely not starting a family yet, bro. I got to travel, man. I want to stop that.
Well, that's good for you, but I have changed. I am no longer Zaid Tabani. I am Diaz Inabot. I have gone through substantial. It's just been a fucking while. We haven't done this in like months at this point. Well, and it feels. I felt lonely. I missed you. I missed you quite a bit.
I missed you too, brother. We back in it. What we talking about today?
We back in it. Oh, by the way, Mulumi is out because his job sucks, and we want to try to figure out a more consistent schedule with this. So we'll figure that out at some point. But all of us decided to start this podcast when all of our careers were blossoming. So that's the shitty part. Figuring all of this out. But how you been, Cola? How was your weekend?
Yeah, not too bad. Watching UFA and another person qualify with the character I was surprised to see, to be honest, if I'm not lying. We'll talk about that soon. But
which character?
I'll just say it. It's the man on the box himself, Ryu. Well, not on the Street Fighter 6 box, but other boxes.
Wait, you've been qualified for Capcom Cup. I thought you said somebody qualified for UFA, and I was like, what do you mean they qualified for?
Qualified for Capcom Cup, bro. At UFA, though. It was a qualifier.
No, of course.
So, yeah.
I remember flipping on like UFA. That was such a fucking great show. UFA in general. Just a phenomenal production value all around. Terry was amazing. Yipes and I believe that's Tyrant on there, right? Or no, Yipes and Logan, yeah. Who were fucking just killing it on commentary. I think honestly, like I turned it on and I saw Kusanagi playing Geef, right? Like fighting against a Geef, and it was the first match of the night. It was super riveting during that top 8. I was like, oh god, like okay, well I'll catch this later, and then come to find out that Kusanagi won the whole goddamn thing. Like a few hours later. Not only that, like he came in at winners, and then I think the reset set was 3-0.
I believe he reset it and then he won from there. If I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken, but just see him run. No.
Kusa was in winners.
He was in winners.
He was in winners, and then right after that, like I think it was. And then Zhao Hai came in at. What's fucking crazy? He was in winners. Zhao came in from losers, reset the bracket, and then he won. I think Kusa won 3-0 in the bracket reset. I'm not sure off the top of my head. Wow. I'd have to check that up. But well,
so he cooked him up. He cooked him up. Well, that's what matters. He cooked him up with Ryu. With Ryu of all characters, with a character we don't ever see winning tournaments or barely in top 8s.
No, not even that, but also but a character who everybody just believes is strong, right? Got the most buffs, and I think it was Logan who said it, that like we don't see him all that often because not a lot of people play him. Everybody kind of picks the other Shotos quite a bit. People pick Ken, people pick Akuma, people pick Luke, right? They're gonna pick Terry because of like specific flavor. But Ryu is a really interesting character in this game, and even watching Kusa play was really, really interesting. The way he used, I mean, honestly, more like he plays quite a bit differently than I've seen other Ryus play, using Hashogeki way more, right? That quarter circle back punch move that Ryu has now a lot. And like the thing with that too is like Ryu's whole kit has always been low forward fireball, and for the last few games, low forward fireball has been incredibly punishable on block, and now him using the drive rush with the jab and then enough jabs to space out to where he gets a Hashogeki. There were times where he just did a random Hashogeki, and when you do a counter hit, they spin out, which combo for him. He was trying to get like it was really interesting to watch him play and kind of make decisions that other Ryus haven't made in the past. But again, like similar to Noah, who we've seen play quite a bit. You know, Kusa came up in the scene. He was a young kid who came, and I think that's the story, correct?
Yeah. He was way younger, like Street Fighter 4 days. We saw him practicing combos on the stream, and he's been watching Daigo for years upon years, and now he's out here winning a CPT event. But that's like the cool thing, as you mentioned, like with Noah, these younger cats that have, grown from playing a lot of fighting games in their early days to like either getting top 8s or winning tournaments or qualifying, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Making their name out in the streets, bro. It's cool to see, because we mentioned this before. We want to see more younger players out here, more new blood, instead of just like the old crusty people. Because eventually, old crusty people are gonna have jobs, families, things get in the way. They just kind of walk out the scene without even telling anybody. We need more new people, and it's a really good sign to see a young cat coming through and winning instead of just like an old head continuously winning. I think to me it's a better story overall to have a new player. Story. And for him, Kusanagi honestly was playing way differently than other Ryu players, as you mentioned. Like, he has like a really good bulldogging style. He doesn't really fireball that much. Like, he doesn't really zone. He's not really old school with it. He's just like decking with Staying Fierce, close range fireballs, OD fireballs. As you mentioned, the Hashogekis. He has a very different style that kind of changed the way that Ryu should be played and changed the way for consistency, I feel like, in first to 2s and first to 3s.
Well, it's just also approaching the character quite a bit differently. I mean, like you said, like we both kind of said that the Hashogeki is kind of like the star of the show here, right? Because, and also the way he used the charge too, because so much of the time you'll have that charge, and most people will just hold on to that charge until they can get an EX Hasho. He wasn't afraid to let that thing rip whenever he needed to, right? Again, I think Hashogeki on block is -3 or -4, right? To where if you space it out enough, then they can't throw right afterwards, right? So a lot of times you see him drive rush, do light punch, then a light kick, and then Hashogeki, right? And that would catch quite a few people off guard. The other thing also too that I noticed between him and Noah is both of them love burning themselves out. Like, they burn out so much, and they are not afraid to do it. I think we talked about it when during the combo breaker finals when Noah was there, and he was just like, I'm just gonna burn myself out. I don't fucking care. You're stuck here with me. I'm going to press. I don't give a shit if I'm burnt out. I'm good at this game, so I'll take that, and I'll use up all my resources to gain advantage while you have to deal with it. And I saw so many times, I mean, not to the extent that Noah does it, but so many times Kusanagi just like midway through, just, oh my god, he's out of bar. He's completely he's burnt out, but he's still being aggressive. He's still doing Oki. He backed away, I think, once or twice that I noticed. But I'm what do you think of that? Like, I mean, like the willingness to burn out. I mean, I feel like it's definitely a risk reward thing. It's not a good thing to be burnt out, but I mean, I think it's working for them overall.
Yeah, you see other players besides Noah going into burnout more consistently, and I think it's like a comfortability factor of like, I know if I have the lead, I can keep the lead. I can keep you jailed up in the corner. I know what my character can do, the right spaces and stuff like that. So I'm going to go into burnout because I have bar at the bottom as well to back myself up if I need a reversal or a super for damage, whatever it may be, right? Like, but they're comfortable in spinning the bar to get the lead, because if you think about it, let's say you go into burnout, right? And you get aggressive, you're going to get your bar back a lot quicker than if you're just holding back or whatever. If you're blocking, get bar back too as well faster. But if you're being active, or if you're getting aggressive and you're blocking it out, you get your bar back faster. So you're actually getting another full stick if you can survive. And if you still have the lead after that, that's like having 2 full sticks of bar. That's what Noah does. I feel like a lot of players are like very solidified in doing that and being like, hey, I'll stay solid. I'm good with this as long as I do not get opened up. It's easier said than done, obviously. But you said Kusanagi doesn't present himself to get opened up with like a drive impact or whatever it may be that consistently. I also want to talk about the fact that at the very end, Kusanagi goes for what? It felt like 5-6 throws or whatever.
Oh my god, it's 5.
Bro.
No, it was 6 throws. It was 6 throws in a row. Yeah. Logan missed one because it was so fucking many. And like, the other thing about that too was like Zhao did that to him 2 rounds earlier. Where I think it was before the reset, he did it like 3 or 4. Yeah, I think it was the reset game. He did it like 3 or 4 times to Kusanagi. And like, and then eventually he uppercut out of it, right? And yeah, like the balls to go for 6 of them in a row, the big brain of like, I'm just you're gonna second guess it. I'm not second guessing. I'm doing this every single time until you have to fucking, and it's one of those things, especially with the I mean, maybe that's the thing. I think. What do you think about the meta of the game, like with the way? Because I mean, like I feel like that's a possibility. Like that kind of play is a possibility from this last Evo and the Evo before, right?
Yeah.
But you don't see anybody actually going for that kind of a crazy, risky maneuver. Like it doesn't make sense. Even like burning yourself out doesn't make sense. I remember people were so worried about, don't burn out. You're gonna get fucked. You're gonna be. It's such a huge disadvantage. People can chip you out. You know, has the meta like significantly changed, and or are players just not seeing this? Do players just not see this as a like a burnout and some of these risky things as risky anymore? Like, what do you think is happening with the way players are interacting in this game?
They understand the risk. They just understand how to be more solid in Burnout. Also, like going back to that throw loop situation, there could have been a risk of Kusanagi being in Burnout. Had ODDP hit, that'd have been a big side switch for Cammy, for Xiaohai.
Yeah.
And then Xiaohai would have put him in the corner, would have put him in Burnout, would have got the momentum back in his hands. So that calculated risk of like the throws was even bigger for Kusanagi. So it was like, you could have been in Burnout. And I think that's why the throws happened. Cause like Xiaohai's like, there's no way he's going to throw me. Cause if I bust out, it's a side switch and I could win. I could win from the interaction. Like this could lead to me winning. So they're playing around the bar, the idea of the bar. It's not just about being in Burnout or not. It's like everyone's playing around the idea of what the drive gauge has, like what could happen from the drive gauge alongside what does happen to the drive gauge, how much it could take in that aspect. And that's what happened at the very end is like Xiaohai being like, there's no way, because I could burn his ass out after 3 throws. After the last couple of throws after that, he was just like, well, damn, what can I do at this point? He's throwing me all the damn time. But I do think that players are getting better about getting more bar, getting more comfortable in Burnout when it has to happen, and going into Burnout on their own terms. Before, it's a new game. You don't know what the hell to do. You're getting hit with drive impact all the goddamn time. But now you're baiting it out. Now we see like Tokido doing like Stand Fierce in a Tatsu to blow up drive impacts if he's in Burnout. So people have survival methods. I think the meta is just evolving for the game overall. You can see it clearly happen with Kusanagi. You see it happen with these players out here, Street Fighter League, obviously with Noah. Hell, the Japanese players even said Noah is a big influence on him in how they play in Burnout. They're like, this guy right here, if he could do it, we could be able to do it. And now Kawano's doing this, you know? So I think the meta's changing.
Well, you know, what's even funny too is like, you know, if you actually look at like, it's funny. Like I'm seeing a lot of the criticisms of Noah on Reddit, on some of the Street Fighter Reddits. That's just kind of crazy to me, you know, because usually those places are pretty positive spots for, I mean, not like Kappa, but like pretty positive spots for players. But I don't know, man. Like I feel like his style of play, Noah does talk a lot of shit, but I think his style of play is very strong. I mean, also like I don't know if there's a single player who's been young who has not talked shit, right? Like I think like one of the most the two most famous family men in this community, both Valle and Justin, in their entire career was just shit talking people until they became, you know, like okay, well, we're like your father figures in this community. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think it's all right for people to talk shit a little bit and be a little aggressive when they're hungry and coming up. Keep it
the game. Yeah.
Some people grow out of it. Some people double down like Punk and Smug, and that becomes their whole life, you know, which is fine. I think the other thing about it too is like when it comes to people like Noah and figuring out Burnout, I think you need more young players who are not burdened by what has been for this character. I mean, like again, I don't think there's a character. I mean, look at Daigo plays Akuma like it's Alpha 3. Like if he's still chucking fireballs in your fucking face mid-range, and like clips have I seen in the last 2 weeks of Daigo just being mid-range. I'm like, I'm not getting in, I'm not drive rushing, I'm just chucking fireballs for 2 minutes until I wear you down. Yeah. Right? But there are a lot of players who, I mean, like again, like I don't know any. I've barely seen any Ryu's drive rush stand jab like that, you know, so often, or am I being wrong? Or drive rush stand light kick.
It's just so short for Ryu compared to other characters that they don't want to do that unless they get close enough. And at that point, you see stand fierce, Hashogeki, whatever it may be. But you know, you're flipping it on its head in terms of how to play the character. And that's like the cool thing. I think if you're a Ryu player, you're super happy about seeing somebody take your character to a W. I see people upset
against Cammy too.
That's not a good matchup. That's one of his worst
at all.
Yeah,
and especially in this game, which fireballs are so risky. She completely shuts down the fireball game, and you know I think there was multiple points where he had her kick game shut down. Where Xiao would, I mean, there was 2 or 3 times where Xiao threw in a dive kick, he spaced it out or just backdashed really well and punished him and made him a little bit scared, you know, in the first set.
Yeah, I mean, you have this character that has the footsie game on log, it's a fireball game in play, dive kick against the fireballs too as well as that risky option. So like already it was a bad matchup for Xiao or for Kusanagi. For
Kusanagi.
He also had Bison if he needed it in his pocket, and that's also a good matchup against Ryu. So like he had all the tools to work with, and Ryu still won. If you're at home and you're upset to see your character win, and you got to go to Twitter and go against the quote unquote up players or people saying Ryu's strong, you're messing up. You should be elated your character is competitively viable. That means
are people mad about that?
Yes, bro. People are upset. There are people on Twitter right now being like, Kusanagi's just really great. I mean, Kusanagi's fantastic. Don't get it twisted. But his character is not a competitive character. Like you hate that. I know you hate that, right? Like you hate seeing people be upset.
How many fucking we could like we're back to the basketball metaphors. How many motherfuckers are like downplay like why? Like a cultural thing that we just downplay, like, bro, just because you suck doesn't mean everyone does. Okay,
that's the simplest, nicest.
Doesn't mean the character
nice way
does.
To say that too.
And it's like, yeah, like I don't know why. Like, bro, if you're listen, if that, and by the way, just to let you know, he had a choice between Luke and Ryu, and he chose Ryu. Okay,
that's true.
That should fucking tell you everything. All right. If that's not a strong character, Luke has, listen, on paper with that matchup, like Luke is far better at that matchup, has far more tools, you know, that, I mean, like, at least from my perspective.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, I think Luke might be better. I think it still might be losing, but not nearly as bad.
It's still, yeah. I mean, like the design of the character.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, dude, like he picked Ryu with, and by the way, he exploited it really, really well. He played it in dominating fashion. He wasn't just guessing. There were points where he shut down a lot of lanes that Zhao Hai had, not just with the but with other things. And I find it so weird that people confidently express so many, you know, I know I don't want to like mix up too many topics, but we're about to talk about Marvel in a second, right?
Yeah.
And I think what's so interesting about that game coming back now and what it feels like playing that game, because I never played Marvel 2 in its heyday like that. And I was always intimidated by playing that game because it seemed like, oh my God, I have to have like 400 IQ to fucking, or 500, or I don't know what the top IQ is. Like, I have to be big brained to be able to even like play in this matchup. Like, I'll play any of these characters. Like, I don't know what's going on screen. Oh my God, yeah. And just basically going online and playing people who are playing like MSP or like some of these top tier teams with like a fucking Ryu, and watching Ryu hit something, or watching how the game is mostly scrambles. Like, it brought me back to like, okay, we're just trying to figure shit out, right? It's not I'm not trying to get $1 million. I'm not trying to be the best player and grind on this esports grind, right? And all of a sudden, we know characters suck. We know characters are good. We know what the things are, but it just becomes about skill and what we're trying to figure out in the moment. And I feel like that conversation is very much so lost when, you know, we're talking about, like, first off, the way people are talking about Kusanagi, if that's the case, is downplaying him. It's downplaying the character. Like, why the fuck? Or it's upplaying him and downplaying the character. I just don't know why that matters. Whether the character is strong or not. Like, is this the sport? Or do we like this game? Or are we there to bitch? Like, I don't know what the point of all of this is.
I think the sport is bitching, right? Like, the sport is like who can bitch the most when it comes to their character or defending their character.
Every sport is I don't think I've seen a single fucking like even during the did you watch the Olympics, by the way? I don't think I talked with you before the Olympics.
Watch a part of it, you know, watching some of the wild stuff.
Did you see Curry? Did you see Curry do his thing and fucking put all of, well, the Curry put France to sleep and Kusa brought them back, but did you see that?
No, I only got to see clips, and at least the Curry,
that was the best basketball game I've ever seen. But even during that, like, it's funny. During that whole thing, I saw so many people who would do the same shit, who would just downplay people, like, oh, just, you know, Curry's refs and all that kind of shit. All of a sudden, change their tune when it's their guy or when it's favorable to them, right? I feel when people feel good about where they're coming from, their entire perspective changes. And I feel like places like Twitter only exacerbate that problem, you know, and it makes it harder for players like who are coming, like, yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't be happy as a Ryu player watching Kusa win.
I just feel like you should just be happy seeing somebody succeed and do something that you can't do. Like, yeah, we are kind of moving on to Marvel, but, you know, Marvel just released their collection. Thank God it was earlier rather than later in the year. But now we get to see those top tier teams, but also people just playing whatever they want. You watch Justin Wong's stream, aka the Wowzer stream. He is cooking with every sort of combination you can think of. Honestly, it becomes so far removed from like how good the character is to like how good he is. And it's the focus is back on the player and what their ability is. Yeah, we know what teams are strong, but even getting to the teams that are strong, it takes a lot of work to get there. You can't just pick up a team and be good and be like amazing right out the gate. That goes for any fighting game. At high level, you cannot pick up a character and just be immediately good. All these players that are picking up new characters that are top tier or are good, they're putting a ton of work that you don't see on the streams, or you see it not in front right now. You see it behind closed doors, maybe if you're seeing the streaming, but that's not all of it. They're putting in 12 hours per goddamn day with even a broken ass character or a broken ass, whatever it may be. So like, that's the cool thing about seeing Marvel and seeing older games is because you don't have that anymore. You just have people enjoying whatever they want, play whatever they want. Yeah, there are top tier teams out there that are winning and doing work, but you see different combinations. You see maybe a low tier character in a top tier team interjected every so often. You see a certain sort of strategy that is emulated and it's talked about a lot more.
He cooked somebody with maybe it's an older video, but he cooked somebody. I saw Justin cooking someone with a full Shoto team.
Oh, he did on Marvel, Ryuken
which is
Akuma?
With a Ryuken Akuma, which is like crazy to me. I saw somebody cook Justin with Mega Man. Like, that was fucking crazy to me. Like, I saw somebody cook Max with fucking Shuma Gorath. You know? Like, I think that's what's so interesting. You know, a lot of people talk about like arcade heydays and shit like that. Like, my arcade experience was majority Street Fighter 4, and I mean before that I was just a kid. Didn't know like a ton of, like, I wasn't super into the competitive scene on that, but like Street Fighter 4 was a huge thing for me arcade days, and maybe a little Street Fighter 3, but like during that time Street Fighter 4 everybody was trying to be like competitive, right? But like there is an aspect to it where, you know, there's the competitive side of it, but I'm talking about competitive like professionally competitive, like this is my profile as a player, you know, and this is my status, as opposed to this is my skill as a player and how I express myself in these games. And those are two very different things. And it feels that the player expression or the character expression like is so much higher in Marvel 2 right now, especially with people picking it up. And I've seen people, honestly, if you look at the Steam charts, like concurrent players aren't enormous, but sales for the game are pretty fucking good. And I've seen people like random TikTok people pick up Marvel and just try it online for like a little bit. Like I saw somebody try and serve bot. They don't know how to play Marvel. They're just having a good time.
Oh,
like,
I saw that girl. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing about it too is like, I feel like, you know, again, like I said, I never played Marvel 2 in arcades like that or anything or at a professional level, but I kind of get it now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of get the appeal of like, oh, what is that? Because it's one of those things where it's like, you know, we talk about like DBFZ and a lot of things and people being really stressed out by the scramble. But I kind of enjoy the Marvel 2 scramble quite a bit. You know, I think like what frustrated me about Marvel 3, especially playing it, was that like, oh, I get one touch, I'm dead. You know, Zero May Cry, one touch, I'm dead. right? Like you're playing a one-player game. This feels like you are constantly engaged in this game. You're not going to get your thing off all of the time. You're just trying to figure out a place where you can get your thing off in a consistent way, and it's very hard to do that. And I love, like, even watching Justin talk about like random damage, and watching Max say most of your damage isn't going to come from a combo. It's going to come from fucking an assist just randomly coming out there and hitting you and shit like that.
Right.
And then midway through the match, you're like, oh fuck, I'm at like half health. What am I going to do?
But then also plays around like the kill the assist sort of thing, stat backs, all that stuff like that whole meta that evolves around it. And it's just, it's fun. I agree. I like seeing people just engage in the game, and they're not too worried about like what's the strongest, what's the most powerful thing. It's like, I'm going to play what suits me, what's fun for me. Like for DBFZ, for example, the patch just dropped, and a lot of people are complaining about certain aspects of the patch. Some people loving it after the dust has kind of cleared a little bit. But I just watched a money match go off, and it was Obi Assassin and Hikari, I think it was those two. And it was like the final game, and Obi won, and they're going back and forth. The energy of them arguing, and Obi just like yelling at him, being like, yeah, man, got your ass, and all that stuff like that. That's, to me, like, it's an amazing part of the game. Like, yeah, maybe the game isn't like the way that you want it, but it's still a fighting game that you enjoy in some facet, whether it be competitive, whether it be to battle a certain person, whatever it may be. They're finding what they have fun, and they're running with it. And that's why, like, even if it's not something that everybody likes or enjoys, I still like people like having fun in their own way. And again, Marvel coming out, DBFZ, all these other games, I just want people to not look at like, oh, the tier list is this and that. I want people to say, what is fun for me? What's enjoyable for me to play?
Yeah. I find it like, okay, maybe I'm wrong, because I talked with Delkill Sage on Twitter a little bit about it. You know, Delkill Sage, phenomenal player. I think he won Skullgirls a couple, or he got second in Skullgirls a couple years ago at EVO. Yeah, he's a fucking crazy. He's an amazing player, right? So like, I was talking with him on Twitter, and I said, like, because I was genuinely confused about, because there's been like so many patches for DBFZ at this point, and after every single patch, everybody is just in shambles
every single time,
and like it's just like, oh, this is fucking stupid, this is fucking stupid, this is crazy. And I'm like, isn't that kind of the point of like those kind of team games? It's stupid. And he said, like, well, because like in Marvel, like everything's broken, and that's what makes it beautiful. And he's like, well, that just shows that you do. And he said, like, with all due respect, that shows that somebody doesn't know a lot about Marvel. And I'm like, okay, well then what's the? And he's saying, like, it feels intentionally, it feels unintentionally broken, or something like that, right? And like after playing Marvel 2 for a little bit and seeing all the crazy shit in that, right? Knowing Marvel 3 and all the crazy shit and broken stuff in that, and then watching DBFZ. And even some of the Marvel players like react to DBFZ. I feel like that's, I mean, am I wrong to think that that's like a feature and not a bug? I think, because I was on that side of like, okay, well, maybe this is a little too crazy. Like, it really breaks the game. It feels really stressful. It feels kind of crazy in the scramble. But then at the same time, like watching matches that don't end with like, that have like, that don't end in one touch, that end in like it's multiple back and forths, and then maybe the last 2 or 3, or the last hit is a one touch with sparking or something. I mean, I feel like, am I wrong that it's a feature and not a bug? Like I think I'm going back to that place where I think it's actually a solid, you know?
I think it's again, I don't play DBFZ enough to be able to tell. I feel like that's like, it's a solid. Maybe to me it feels like they're intentionally making some things broken, and that breaks a lot more things. Yeah. But the result is something similar to Marvel, where Marvel, I don't think Marvel or CVS2 or any of those games were intentionally made in certain ways to be the way they are. I think they just made a game, and they were just
Marvel
like,
definitely was not
thrown together, bro. That was just a hodgepodge of bop, 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 and we made a game, and people are like, wait, this is really fun, and we know it's broken, but we accept it for what it is. And maybe DBFZ and other games need that acceptance, where it's like, well, shit, maybe this game is just, it's not going to be balanced. It's going to be broken in some areas, and that's the way it is, and that's the game that we play. I think also people putting their livelihood on this makes it a lot more difficult. If Marvel 2 came out today, would it get the same reception? Probably not. You know, if they had a tour around it, you would see tons of people make Serverbot top tier. Roll is not not competitive. You know, we got to make her good. All this stuff
Well,
like that.
I think it also would be considered a Kusoge game, right? Like I think it would be kind of similar to like an NRS game.
It would make,
right?
It would make it
like
fun.
Where, yeah, like it would basically be like oh, this game is so busted. Why would I even play? But I think that's a big thing about the way we approach games in general, right? I think like breaking the game and figuring things out. You know, I think the closest thing to Marvel that we have right now, or a game that's been developing, is honestly Smash Brothers. Like, you know, if you look at Smash Brothers Melee, like I remember seeing Smash Brothers Melee at Evo, and like I think it was around the same time where there was Marvel 3, and I was like, oh, this game is like Marvel. It's a game that has been developed, and the system is so good, right? That all of these techniques have developed over time that like while the balance is very all over the place, like Ganondorf is really, really, really low, right? The system and the movement and the situations in the game are so brilliant, and it's so fast, right? It leads to a lot of great player expression, right? And I think that, like, you know, with Ultimate now, you notice like more broken shit's being found. More stuff is like, if you're even like looking at the community, that community is still thriving, still figuring out new things, still figuring out crazy shit with Steve. Still feel like there's so much stuff that's being developed as time goes on, just from the sheer sake of just the game just existing without patches and people trying to catch up to where the season is at. Yeah. You know, and I think that goes back to a lot of things with Kusanagi and stuff like that too. You know, I think a lot of times with the world that we live in right now, we are very much living in patch culture, right? Like, okay, well, the patch came out. These characters are strong. These characters suck. And this is the way you play these people if you want to play them optimal. It's about what's optimal for these characters. And I think the word optimal, a lot of people thing is like there's one idea for like it's, oh, this is the best. And you have to play it this way, right? Yeah. Yeah, as opposed to like what's best for what I want. And I think if we're looking at like Kusanagi and stuff like that, like, okay, well, you're playing, the risk reward is gone. Like so if you're watching Kusanagi, again, he's doing things that other Ryus are not doing because those are not optimal in a lot of Ryu's eyes. Like it's optimal for you to hold that charge until you can get an EX Hashogeki, right? Just throwing out the fireball like that is not necessarily the best thing to do. Also, throwing out Hashogeki midway through the thing, like, yes, that's great, but it's not the best thing to do because it's minus. It's a little too minus, right? You should space out and do fireballs. He's doing things that are suboptimal in some people's. It's suboptimal for you to throw 6 times, at most 3.
Most,
right?
Yeah, most time. Especially at high level.
It's possible, but like any good player is gonna know that. No, 6 times Xiao got thrown. And then, 6 times Xiao got thrown, jumped over, hit him, like, I forget what he did. He comboed him or something like that. And then literally on wake up, the first wake up, it's an EXDP. Immediately. Like those are not like obviously, like in that situation, anybody who's not there is like, okay, well, he's fucking, obviously he's antsy if he's throwing 6 times. So he's just gonna let it rip, right? You would think, but Xiao doesn't think that. I got hit by that. Because I'm like, he's too smart. He's too smart. He's not gonna, like, and so I feel like, I mean, I think our quest for what is the optimal route for playing characters needs to kind of be tweaked a bit to what's best for the player in that situation. I know I've talked for like a minute right now, but like, there's a tournament back in Street Fighter 4 where Combo Jack, I think, won against Vi or somebody. Combo Jack won first at this local that, like, back when like locals were like crazy, and he was playing Sagat, and he just did a random tiger knee in a place where he just shouldn't have, right? Like he could have gotten way more damage, and he did a tiger knee instead. And I think the interviewer was Gutex or somebody who was like, all like, hey, you finally won, Jack, great job. What so near the end you kind of dropped that combo, and he was like, no, I meant to do the tiger knee. I meant to do that. It just, that's how I play. That's what I'm trying to do. And that's what it should be. It's not a drop. You're setting up your own game plan and your own board in the way that you feel is best for you to perform the best. as opposed to on paper what makes sense for this character in the grand scheme of the game.
Play what's best for you, how you should play. I think that's what we've seen from the weeks of Street Fighter, not only just with like Kusanagi, but even like Minardi with the Geef. You know, he was causing grief out there, Cream City, you know, playing a different sort of style of Geef. Even Punk with his footsie-based Cammy. No one can emulate Punk. He's his own person. He's developed his own style.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He's made it work now. He's won Evo. Even Xiaohai himself with rotation of characters and his hit confirm style, he's made it work for himself. So if they can find something that works for their style to get wins or get top 8s at minimum, you can too. That should be the takeaway for any game.
Punk is a great example, because you've seen other characters and the way he approaches characters is so interesting. You know, like I think Punk and Daigo are two people who, like, when I watch them play characters, it's them playing it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? There's this very specific style of the way. Like, that's how you know a fighting game is good, is like when you see two players play the same character and they're just vastly different, right? Like watching Punk pick up, like, I think I've seen Punk play Ryu before, right? I think I've seen Punk play Akuma before. Like watching Punk play these characters and then watching like Japanese players play some of these characters, or even watching them play Cammy Xiaohai and Cammy Punk are two different Cammys. Very different Cammys. And I think they would have, like, if you switch them in where they are, like Xiaohai at Evo, right? I don't know if he makes the decisions that he needs to get that big bird. I mean, it's a very different match.
Right. I don't know if he'd be jumping the same way or in the same areas or going for certain... The jump at the very end for him to win, I don't know if Xiaohai would go for that. I think Xiaohai would go for more dive kicks, personally. That's the way...
Of course, because again, like that jump, like you hear it in the commentary for that Evo, like that jump is suboptimal, right? Like it's a random jump in. Oh, that could lose you the Evo. But he took that. If he didn't do that jump in, like Punk is down 60% in that round. He does that jump in, he gets the hit, right? And that leads to a very common sequence where it's not like a crazy, like, oh, this is an impossible, like 300 IQ, but it's brilliant because it's so simple, and you can see the guy's like, oh, I fucked up the jump. I should have hit that. Okay, no. And
even Big Bird said that. He said, I should repeat that. Like, he was
exactly.
Like, I should do that.
And that lingering, like, thought, even if you're trying to put it in the back of your head and just capitalizing on the most simple play, like, no, don't. We're playing this game now. We're playing this game now. You fucked that up. You have to be playing this game now. And him capitalizing on that, I don't know if a lot of other players, and also like that's a very American style of play too. You know what I'm saying? Like we have like US hasn't won a major Street Fighter game title in how many years? And Punk's the first to do it with a random jump in
at Evo.
I mean, that's a
Street Fighter. Yeah. Oof. I guess we can't count Problem X, but. Well,
wait, was Problem X? I thought Problem X
is UK. He was in Brooklyn, so we kind of claim him, but we can't claim him though.
You can't claim him. No. We can't claim him. Arslan Ash came to California and lived in California for like that's like Cal. I remember when Justin moved to SoCal, and people were like, "Oh, like yeah, Justin's SoCal." And I was like, "No, he fucking isn't."
Like, you don't count. Justin, once you move, it's your hometown. Is what you know. You gotta be here for at least like 2 years, like 3 to 4 years. You have to like ingratiate yourself. LeBron is still a Miami player until he proves otherwise. I mean, now he's more of an LA player, but like him fucking, you can't just like switch teams and be like, oh yeah, totally. I'm on this side now.
Yeah. Get out of here. I'm not here for that. Okay, we got a couple more minutes, correct? So let's very quickly talk about Marvel. We've talked about Marvel quite a bit. I also wanted to talk about a little bit about the other Capcom fighting collection that's coming out, the CVS2,
yes,
and all of that. I think this is a fucking banner year. Like, that's amazing that we have all of these games coming out and the people are rediscovering them, leading to new lease and life on these games. So two questions for you.
Okay.
All right. Number one, do you think that these lead to revivals for stuff like Marvel 2, stuff like CVS 2, like Marvel 4, CVS 3, right? You know, do you think that the demand would be, and I know that's much of a business question, but then also other games like Power Stone and stuff like that, right? Like, do you think that those games? I don't know. I mean, I've like what are your thoughts on the revival coming to these older titles?
You make a Marvel 4, it's gonna sell. You make a CVS 3, it's going to sell. Now,
well, I think Marvel 4 easy. Now, like that has to be in the calculus.
There's no way. I mean, you can't have a collection without that like coming afterwards. Like I feel like the Marvel and Capcom are shaking hands. They're in bed. They're kissing between the sheets. It's there. So I think that's happening. Now, if we talk about like Power Stone or something, I don't think Power Stone is coming back. As a smaller game, man. It sucks. I know the 10 Power Stone fans out there are gonna be upset. I'm just kidding. There's a lot more.
I'm number 9, so fuck you. Okay,
I'm number
2,
1. Bro, I'm out there. I love Power Stone. I love Power Stone, but I'm real with myself in that game is not going to be a big banger if it does come out like Power Stone 3. It's just not gonna happen. However, maybe there's a future where if they get enough money or funds, they can make like a small game and sell for like $30 or something like that, and make it a very.
I think CVS 3 is also pretty much on the table at this point.
Oh yeah, it's got to be.
I think Terry, like,
no way.
It's interesting to me, like, because like I feel like when you had Marvel, I think especially with Marvel Infinite when that came out, and also Max's fucking mod is incredible.
Yeah,
right.
Shout out to him.
Watching that pop off very well, watching the collection pop off very well. The collection get like CNN coverage with Max on there, right? Like that has to look good. And I think like it's one of those things where, you know, Marvel Cinematic Universe has had some stumbles, but they're still doing strong, right? Deadpool Wolverine was good.
Amazing.
Like I think Marvel is Capcom is on a winning streak enough to where, and Marvel is still doing pretty well enough to where it would make sense for them to kind of like, okay, well, this is a profitable thing. I think a couple years back, it didn't, with where fighting games were and everything like that, and the lack of familiarity with Capcom, like I don't know why, but there was still like, it didn't feel like Capcom was such a, if we were talking about like, oh man, Smash Brothers, everybody knows has this pocket Smash Brothers character, right? Capcom games have become, people are coming back around to seeing these older Capcom titles and everything like that and having fondness for them. I would think that like it makes more sense in the calculus for Marvel to like give that a shot,
yeah, you know,
and watch these characters kind of play in some sort of engine like that.
Hope it happens. We want more. We want Marvel 4. Come on, Capcom, hook us up.
All right, I hope so as well. All right, we're about at the end. Finally back on Let 'Em Cook. We really appreciate you guys for what? Thank you. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Cola, any final words?
You playing fighting games and stay safe.
Thank you for the brilliant wisdom you just gave us with the sign off. All right, my name is Tabani.
I'm Zaid Cola.
And we'll see you hopefully next week or, you know, not 3 months from now.